Hi guys, so it's good to be back, and like I said in my last video, I had to go do stuff. I had to go get married and get a wife and stuff like that. Important stuff, yeah. So that's what happened, and then with marriage comes other things that basically I'm trying to say we miss the freedom, and I didn't have the freedom to upload. Now that we've settled down a bit more, I can get back to uploading videos and stuff.
Finished!
Right, so in today's video, we're going to look at why I believe grace will never be the most popular or the most widespread preaching in churches today. And so we look at three main reasons. And so first will be ignorance, meaning that people, especially teachers and pastors, don't know the gospel for themselves. Yeah, they don't know the gospel of peace. They don't know the new covenant truths. Second will be finances, obviously, because I think very few churches are willing to preach the truth on the tithe for obvious reasons, which we look at. And the third reason would probably be just the culture of self-righteousness in church. Yeah, right. So let's look at it. Alright, so the first point was ignorance. And I'm sure many of you know, as well as I do, that even the simple truths, for example, freedom from the law, right? Freedom from the law of Moses. That truth will put you in trouble in church today because many people don't know that Christians are free from the law. And if you bring it up, the assumption is that you are pro-adultery, that your message is a license to sin. And so we have to wonder how the church can have the Bible with them, how pastors and leaders and teachers can have the Bible with them and go past numerous verses that clearly state that we Christians are not under the law. They would rather stick to a theology of morality and ethics and have Moses and also Jesus and try mix it up. And that's why I like to say that you guys, you people who understand the message of grace, you people who understand this gospel, you are more qualified than many pastors and preachers that you sit under. And we see in 2 Corinthians 3 that Christ has qualified us as ministers of the new covenant and not the old one. The old being Moses, the old being the law. And that's just touching on, freedom from the law. We haven't looked at eternal security. We haven't looked at complete forgiveness of sins. We haven't looked at, our new identity, our divine nature. We haven't touched any of that yet. We're already tripping up on the first pillar of the gospel. And so ignorance or lack of knowledge, people not knowing, that's one of the reasons I'd say that this gospel is not as widespread or as popular as it would have been. Let's look at the second one, finances. Now, I tend to be more lenient and understanding on this issue because, hey, everybody needs money, right? And so churches have salaries and rent to pay. The pastor also probably has a family and kids who need to go to school. And so that's a logical explanation why a pastor will not teach against the tithe. The truth of the gospel, however, is that, Christians are not obligated to give a certain amount. We can give whatever we want. We can give 10%, we can give 3%, we can give 40%, we can give nothing at all, and it's all fine. If you look at 2 Corinthians 9, I believe, it says that we should give freely from the heart, under no compulsion or pressure. And so this means that we pastors should not be, using Malachi 3:10 to try scare people to give more, right? We say,
you're robbing God, and God is going to curse you if you don't give him money.
And yeah, he needs the money for, whatever. Anyway, you get my point, right? There have been some underhanded tactics used to get people to pay. And so the gospel of grace doesn't stop when it comes to the wallet. We are saved by grace, we live by grace, and even the giving is by grace. And so we should let them give whatever they want. And even if they don't give, it's fine. And so before becoming a pastor, you should take that into account. Yeah, if you want to be completely honest and true, you can't twist people into giving. It's not the truth of the gospel. All right, so let's look at the third reason, which is self-righteousness and mass. This is very common in churches today. In fact, when you ask many young Christians and just people in general, why are you not going to church? Why don't you like the church? What don't you like about Christians? And the number one comment will be like, Christians are self-righteous. Christians think they're better than us. People in the church like condemning us. People in the church are hypocritical, and, they have a holier than thou attitude. Yeah, like, I'm better than you and there's nothing you can do about it. Yeah,
because I am better.
At what?
Everything.
So that attitude is a problem. And so it ties up with my first point of ignorance, because it is a fact that many do not understand. The guy who's been in jail a few times, the guy who got divorced recently, people who struggle overtly and, stuff that we can see. We fail to understand that those people's righteousness, if they are a believer, their righteousness is the same as ours. Righteousness is not based on performance. And so the one with 1,000,000 sins and the one with 20 sins, the righteousness is the same. The one with the big sins and the one with the smaller sins, the righteousness is the same, because Christ is our righteousness. And if you find yourself frowning upon that, then, you might be the problem. Now, we're not saying that there are no consequences to sinful actions, right? Alcohol is not good for your health, may make you do foolish things. Adultery may affect you physically, emotionally, and you don't want to spend your time wasted on stuff like that. And so we're not saying, now you have grace, now you can go and sin. No, that won't work for you. As we saw in Titus, it's the grace of God that teaches us to say no to sin. It's the kindness of God that leads us to repentance, right? But even when I say this, I insist that we should know that our righteousness is not based on our performance. Yeah, Christ is your righteousness. And honestly, if you think about it, your track record, maybe you haven't spent jail time, maybe your marriage is doing well, you haven't been in divorces and stuff like that. If you look at your track record and, you're pretty pleased with it, it would be good for you to realize that in itself is a miracle, right? That's Christ expressing himself in and through you. Because as soon as you think, I'm the one who's holding this, I'm keeping the laws, I'm doing stuff well, you won't believe how fast you'll fall. Hey, don't I warn you? And so those are my 3 reasons to why I think the gospel of grace will never be the most popular or the most widespread message in churches today. And so that's why I do what I do right here on YouTube, and that's why other guys do what they do on the internet, sharing on Facebook, Instagram. You see people posting and talking about the truth of the gospel. Alright, so that's it for today's video. That's it from me. So since I got married also, as you can see, Minnie got someone else, and hey, it is what it is. We move on. And so once again, thank you guys for sticking around. Thank you for the messages and the comments and all the good vibes. Remain in grace, my friends. Remain in grace.